So back, of course, we're talking FF7, we're talking Rebirth, and today I want to do a kind of focused discussion on one topic, talking about the world of the game, and whether or not Rebirth is actually open world, because they keep pushing about it being a seamlessly connected world later on in the game, and there's some people that don't, I don't know, a little bit of confusion, it seems like, where people don't know quite whether or not this game is or isn't actually open world. But before we hop into it, I want to give a bit of an update on the whole Cait Sith situation, because I actually had somebody comment on my Cait Sith video and point out that as far back as Dirge of Cerberus, we're talking 2006, 17 years ago, they're actually referring to him as Cait. So shout out to Dublin ZA for letting me know about this on that previous video. And also shout out to them for providing me with the link, because I'd replied to that comment saying, like, I watched like a compilation of like all the original FF7 characters' scenes in Dirge of Cerberus, and I didn't see, anybody mention Cait Sith. And they actually tracked down the clip for me, which is pretty badass, man. Let's play it really quickly. It's Sid referring to Cait Sith as Cait.
Yeah, but just look at Cait. I mean, Reed. When the hell did he become so important?
I thought that was kind of crazy, man, because there's like a lot of, drama from the name reveal or whatever, from people that wanted to be Ketchi, or however you say that exactly, in the Gaelic, Scottish way, or whatever the fuck it is. I don't know if I'm saying that word right. And then obviously people who've been just saying Cait Sith this entire time. There's a little bit back and forth, all that stuff. And this entire time, at least on the English side of things, for 17 years now, they've been referring to him as Cait Sith. And it's kind of weird that this is not more known. I know Dirge of Cerberus wasn't exactly super popular, but you think people, how's that not like more talked about, that he refers to him as Cait in that game? At least on the English side of things, we've been saying this entire time. That was a pretty cool piece of info. I just want to let you guys know about it. My knowledge of Dirge of Cerberus is very, very minimal. So, like, anything that's relevant from that game, I just practically know nothing. I know, like, very surface level shit from Dirge of Cerberus. Just want to let you guys know about it. Let's hop into the discussion about the world of Rebirth. And we're just going to read an excerpt from a BBC interview with Hamaguchi. Like Final Fantasy XVI, Square Enix's most recent PS5 title in the mainline series, FF7 Rebirth, will feature a large open-world area. But Mr. Hamaguchi told Newsbeat it won't be a go anywhere you want, do anything you want style of game from the get-go, like Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. We start out with a fairly broad area, a fairly wide area to explore, he said, but there are limitations on it. Then as the story progresses, as the game progresses, you get new abilities and open up new areas, and the game expands further and further. Mr. Hamaguchi says the developers want the open world to work as one single space with all of the towns, all of the dungeons, and everything linked together seamlessly in one space. It was a really important feature that we wanted to add to this game, and one thing we wanted to focus on was the idea that you're giving the player the opportunity to explore and experience the world. So the question of whether or not this game is open world, or it's like a wide linear sort of game, is it just big zones to explore? The answer is kind of all of that. I mean, it is an open world game. Later in the game. Like, once you get the means of transportation that allow you to explore the world, it is an open world game. It's a seamlessly connected world. There's no load screens if you're going to travel from, like, Junon to, like, Costa del Sol by whatever means allows you to do that. I don't know if that's a chocobo, or if we're doing, like, the tiny bronco in the shallow waters, and that's how you get around the world. But it's a seamlessly connected world, man. Everything's in one area. It's one zone. It's no different than any other, like, open world game. You're just limited by the story. Just like a lot of games out there, like Final Fantasy 15. You wouldn't look at a game like Final Fantasy 15 and say that it's not an open world game, because it very much is. But it, just like how Rebirth is going to be, and even the original FF7 was, you're halted by story progression. You're going to have to play the story in 15 to open up like roadblocks or whatever to allow you to keep exploring the world, right? And it's going to be the same thing here. You're going to have to play the story to open up the means of transportation that allow you to explore the world. Even a game like Horizon Zero Dawn, which we know this game is very much inspired by. Hamaguchi's a massive, massive fan of Horizon Zero Dawn. That game's the same way. You wouldn't look at Horizon Zero Dawn and say, that's not an open world game, because it's the same thing as like Final Fantasy 15, where you can explore a lot of area, but there's going to be sections or places that are locked off because of the story. You got to progress the story to open up the whole map, right? And it's a kind of similar thing here. Now, it's not going to be true open world even by the end of Rebirth, because there's going to be like continents and stuff that we're not going to, and you can't go to like probably all of the northern continent. We know we're going to Forgotten Capital, but whether or not we're going to North Crater and shit, that's all remains to be seen at this point, right? It's not true open world in that way, but when you get later on in the game, you can explore all of this world that we're going to have in Rebirth in like one area. There's no load screens, there's no nothing, which is crazy, man. Because when people hear the term open world, they automatically think of like a Ubisoft game, like an Assassin's Creed or some shit, or like a Fallout or Elder Scrolls, where like once you get past the intro sequence, you can just go anywhere you want to, all the way across the whole entire map, right? And not every open world game's like that. Most of them are, but not every one of them is like that. When you think about it, Rebirth isn't any different than something like Horizon Zero Dawn or Final Fantasy 15. The way the world progresses as you play the story, the world opens up more. And it's not any different than the original FF7. The original FF7 is an open world game, technically. Once you get like the high wind, kind of the tiny bronco, right, you can explore the majority of the map. And realistically, if we're talking like true open world, it'd be the gold chocobo, because that's what allows you to access areas that the high wind can't access. Rebirth obviously won't be open world in the sense that you can just like hop in the ocean and swim across the map, right? At least early game, I don't know what the limitations are on swimming. I would assume it's probably only shallow water shit. But there might be like an ocean chocobo or something that lets us like run across the ocean, right? But I don't entirely know, because if they have that in the game like they did in the original FF7, do they just have like invisible walls that prevent you from going to Wutai? I don't know exactly how that would work, right? So that might not even be a thing in this game. Maybe they saved that for the third game. I don't entirely know. And I presume that the way we're going to get around the world, besides fast traveling, is the Tiny Bronco. I think that's how you would have kind of this seamless connected open world. Then again, when you're no longer hindered by the story preventing you from going further, maybe you can swim across the ocean. I don't entirely know. But again, even if you can traverse the ocean in some way with this game, besides shallow water with the Tiny Bronco, I don't know what would be preventing you from going to locations you're not supposed to be able to go to yet. So unless they just throw up an invisible wall, you can't go any further type of shit until like the next game, right? I don't know. This is the question of whether or not FF7 Rebirth is open world. It is. Even from the very beginning, it's open world, right? We know we got to go to a Chocobo Ranch to get a Chocobo to go across the marshes, but you're not forced to go there. You have the freedom to explore, to go around. You can walk straight to Chocobo Ranch, right before you get there, cut off and go that way or whatever, and explore everything, but we're going to be hindered by the story, as I've already said several times in this video, because we're going to get to the marshes and we're going to need a Chocobo, we're going to have to backtrack to the ranches, but still, you have the freedom to explore. But as the game progresses, we get towards the end of the game, you're able to travel from the Forgotten Capital all the way back to the Grasslands area, all the way back to Junon and the Calm area somehow. Presumably the Tiny Bronco, but maybe something else. I don't know. The fact that they're doing like this seamlessly connected world by the end of the game where it's all one zone, essentially, that you can like travel from one side to the other, like that's crazy, man. It's so much more than we could ever expected. We were so curious how they're going to handle like the world, the overworld, all that stuff, and it's just completely exceeding, every bit of this game is exceeding my expectations, man. And like just the Grasslands area that we've seen so far, like it's so massive. We've seen so very little of it. I just can't wait to see like the rest of that. I can't wait to play this game. I'm curious with like once you leave like Costa del Sol and you go to like the Mount Corel area, like what's that kind of modernized area going to look like, right? And everything else, the area surrounding like Gold Saucer and all that stuff, the Gungaga kind of area, the Cosmo Canyon area. We've seen a little bit of the Cosmo Canyon area, I think. Like we've seen like kind of the Red Rock area. But man, I'm just so excited to play this game, dude. I just cannot motherfucking wait. For most of the video, my dudes, just kind of just want to talk about the world of Rebirth, something we haven't really talked about too much when it comes to the channel yet. And I want to clarify a bit of stuff, because there's people that think the game isn't open world, and it is. It's just not your traditional open world game, and we're going to be pretty limited for the majority of the game. It's not going to be till Rocket Town or whatever, Tiny Bronco, that we're probably going to have the actual freedom to kind of really explore, other than like fast traveling back, obviously. You can fast travel back to like the kind of calm Junon area, obviously. But in terms of like just exploring, like you can go from one side of the map to the other, man. There's like nothing limiting you from that. It's just the means of how we do that, which is probably shallow water, Tiny Bronco shit. Anyways, that's the video. Subscribe to channel if you guys are new. So works in the description below. Follow me on Twitter, @YT. That's it. Bye.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Logain, or leave it like Cobain.